Welcome to Mike's Monthly Mix, the series that's famous for definitely existing before this exact moment. It's the most wonderful time of the year where I change up one aspect of my personality completely. Be thankful you weren't here for my napkins phase. Last year, this existential hoedown led to a revamp of my Deep Discog Dive series, and this year, it's happening to the series formerly known as the Quick Review Basharoo. Here's how this little rodeo is gonna work. I'm gonna go through the latest album releases and give my quick-fire thoughts. Bold, I know. A handful of highlighted releases broken up by some more rapid-fire album thoughts. And to complement this new series, I've got a playlist in the description with one song from each album I talk about. It's in the description, feel free to check it out. I'm sure there will be kinks to work out with this new format, but I am dedicated to making it the best that it can possibly be. And I am open to your feedback, so if there's something you want to see me change for next month, please feel free to let me know in the comments.
I hate the winter, can't stand the cold.
You know, for most of the lead up, this one just confused me. I was confused by the lead single and how it came off as Freedom 99 by way of Sheryl Crow. I was confused by the decision to not sell CDs to cut down on environmental impact when they were still making the vinyl. And to top it all off, Lorde just lost that relatable factor by singing about the outdoors and nature, things I haven't seen since 2018. But when I actually sat down to listen to Solar Power, Lorde's lyricism pierced through me like a ray of sunlight, whatever that is. And the lyrics about the natural world were supplemented by musings on her newfound fame, the casual destruction of our ecosystem, and what will be left for future generations. All of this sets Solar Power up to be a really great poetry collection. But there's also music, and that's where I start to get lost. Lorde, Jack Antonoff, and associated personnel go hog wild on this acoustic, washed out existence, and hey, they do nail existence. But as an understandable consequence, I don't feel like many of these songs go for any larger musical emotions. It just goes at its own pace. And sometimes it can even lead me to wonder, are you all being legit, or are you chaining my yank? Most emblematic of this is the song Mood Ring, which is a satirical take on wellness influencer culture, but you only really know that if you read the email newsletter about it. Okay. Why do I need to read an email to get a song? I'm not executing overarching mission goals at scale to maximize ROI for shareholders. Why do I need to read an email? That's not to say the emails are bad. I think they're well written and a thoughtful way to communicate with fans, but I also think personally, all the necessary information to understand a song should be in the song. It's like buying a BLT and then having the bacon shipped by FedEx. The record Solar Power reminds me the most of is Arctic Monkeys' Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino. They're both records that go for a very specific vibe, and my god, they do it. They nail it. They sound like the records that their respective artists wanted to make. I guess I'm just left wondering why they went for that specific sonic vibe and what they want to say through it musically. But hey, chances are if you wanted to check this record out, you probably already have, and if you haven't, give Fallen Fruit a listen. Let's get into some solos. Lingua Ignota dropped Sinner Get Ready recently, which has been getting a lot of buzz, in part thanks to the double didgeridoo from Big Boss Fandango. Listening to this makes me feel like I'm in the middle of a ritualistic cult sacrifice, and I'm either about to get eaten or experience pure transcendence. Either way, I'm into it, especially on the Sacred Liniment of Judgment. Nas dropped the sequel to last year's King's Disease, and it's the rare sequel that surpasses the original. I highly recommend the track Nobody with Miss Lauryn Hill, in part because I just like it when Lauryn Hill shows up on songs, and I hope she's doing well. The Killers are back with the companion to the album that ended music forever, All of the Music. Sadly, this one does not end music, but it's a thoughtful piece of Americana that shows more depth and empathy than any Killers record I've heard so far. Get your sad cowboy on with Runaway Horses featuring Phoebe Bridgers. Foxing dropped their fourth album, Draw Down the Moon, continuing to prove themselves as a top rock band / tabletop gaming enterprise. I've personally been enjoying the closer Speak with the Dead. Halsey teamed up with Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross for a whole dang album. With her last album, I thought the best parts were the ones where she really embraced rock, so I am glad to see she got my letters. I'm not like in love with it, but it's easily my favorite record of hers so far. Check out Girl is a Gun. Justin Vernon and Aaron Dessner are back with their side project band Big Red Machine. I really enjoyed the glitched out Americana of their debut, but sadly this follow-up has pretty much ditched the glitch. Replacing it though is every big singer-songwriter of the past 10 years, including a young upstart named Taylor Swift. If you're at all a fan of Bon Iver or The National, you'll definitely enjoy this down-tempo jamboree. Check out Phoenix for a taste. And hey, you know what? I had sworn Churches off after their last album as this archetypical music festival act that would just put out a new record every 2 to 3 years just to tour, but man, they woke up and chose violence with this new album. Screen Violence. It's easily my favorite record of theirs since their debut, and I highly recommend How Not to Drown featuring Robert Smith from The Cure. Now you might be wondering, Mike, you sly devil you, why are you covering August album releases when we've only got a few days left of September? And the reason for that is I actually took a vacation in late August. I got to disconnect and really take a break from catching up on album releases. So of course that's when this decided to come out. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of the packed stadium live streams. I'm tired of the expensive chicken fingers. I'm tired of the 24/7 camera. I'm tired of the Glub Go Gab Galab. I'm tired of the controversial features, and most of all, I'm tired of this being his best album in years. Yeah, on a musical level, this is the most I've enjoyed a Kanye West album since The Life of Pablo. And like that album, there's a sinner redemption arc here that I find very compelling. Of course, the Kanye of now is very different from the Kanye of Life of Pablo. For one, his t-shirts don't have bleach on them. But he's similar in that he can still make some transcendent musical moments. Moon, 24, Hurricane, Off the Grid, Donda, Believe What I Say with that Lauryn Hill sample, I Hope She's Doing Well. They almost convince you that the Kanye of old is back. But that's the thing though. Like with the past handful of Kanye records, its success comes down to how strongly it evokes that wonder and spectacle of his classics. And once you start to come down from that nostalgic high, you realize that Donda, like with the past handful of Kanye records, comes with baggage. It's too long, both in terms of track list and track length. Some production decisions are baffling. I get that the Glub Go Gab Galab is a funny meme, but Kanye put it as the outro on Remote Control, which I like, and then it leads right into Moon, which I love. It catches both songs in its blast radius and makes both slightly worse as a result. And the guests can sometimes come and go with no impression made, or worse, actively detract from the experience. The big culprit is Jail Part 2 with Marilyn Manson and DaBaby. Manson's vocals come in so loudly, it sounds like they just put his vocals on top of the existing track without mixing him in, and then DaBaby comes in with the same flow he has on all his songs, which doesn't mesh with the sparse guitars. It's the worst thing both of them have done in recent memory. It's the second worst thing both of them have done in recent memory. But you know, at the end of the day, does it matter? Like, I feel like a Kanye album these days is only as good as the discourse it generates, and thanks to his reignited beef with Drake, we sure got discourse. We got an ocean of the stuff, we drowned in it. Really, what are these albums if not tools of discourse made to reinforce the brands of their respective artists, ensuring that the short-term future will be filled with rudimentary debate meant to soothe followers into thinking, yes, the existential dread I feel from a cold and dismissive world can be overcome if I can just convince this random guy on Twitter that Drake did indeed take the biggest L of his career. I liked Moon. Don Toliver sounds really good on the hook. I guess I should also cover the other big rap album to come out in the past 2 months, Drake's Certified Lover Boy. Did you like Views? Did you like Scorpion? If so, you'll like this, because it's the same record Drake's been making for the past 5 years. The same production, some meme-worthy moments, and the rest is in one ear and out the other. I did like Race My Mind, and also Yeba's Heartbreak, but I mean, with the latter, Drake's not even really on it, so I don't even know if that counts. Speaking of Yeba, she dropped her debut album a few weeks ago, and darn, it's good. And this record of hers is imbued with a confidence that you only get when you do a thing for a long period of time. Imagine a classic singer-songwriter album produced by Mark Ronson and featuring A$AP Rocky saying this. October Sky is a great track. On the topic of musicians releasing their debut album after years of putting in work, Irish singer-songwriter Orla Gartland made herself known as a woman on the internet with her debut album, Woman on the Internet. Some darn good indie rock on this. I highly recommend You're Not Special Babe as an intro. Baby Keem dropped his debut album, which you may know already from memes of people doing this.
Top of the morning, top of the morning, top.
Yeah, Keem's cousin and occasional rapper himself, Kendrick Lamar, got most of the meme-worthy moments, but Keem held his own lyrically, and the production kept me engaged all the way through this one. I enjoyed this album more than I thought I was going to. That said, check out Range Brothers with Kendrick, in part for the memes. Little Sims dropped a new album, Sometimes I Might Be Introvert. You know, with her last album, I liked it, but I wasn't really sure what to say beyond that. I'm not gonna have that same problem with this album when year-end list season rolls around. Check out Little Cube Part 2, and then I dare you to not listen to the rest. Jeff Heaven's back with a rip-roaring black gaze album that, like A Corporation in June, leans way into the gaze. If you're more familiar with them, you might not like it as much, but for a noob like me, I thought it was fairly decent. Check out Great Massive Color if you're interested. And since we're talking about harder bands taking a softer turn, hardcore outfit Turnstile released their third album, Glow On. An older fan might be turned off by the Latin grooves and pianos and 808s, but I will gladly take their place in the mosh pit because this thing rips so hard. Check out Don't Play. And you know that saying, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all? Moving on. Yeehaw season's back, baby!
I cried just a little and then laughed in the middle.
Kacey Musgrave's last album, Golden Hour, is one of my favorite albums of the past decade. It's a record about love and the many ways it manifests, inspired by her then recent marriage, and she came back this month swinging with Star-Crossed, a record all about her divorce. Shoot, Star-Crossed makes for a fascinating companion piece then. Golden Hour was laser-focused in its concept and delivery, but Star-Crossed takes its time to emotionally sprawl out. The range of emotions displayed can be far greater. Some songs are about missing your person, some are about bashing said person, and they can often exist right next to each other on the track list. It's definitely a messier project than Golden Hour was, but like, divorce is messier. That process of untangling yourself from someone and trying to figure out who you are in their absence. Sure, I think Golden Hour is the better album, but I really admire the emotional and sonic complexity that Kacey brings to the table with Star-Crossed. And along with returning producers Ian Fitchick and Daniel Tashin, this thing is gorgeous. Drop dead, gorgeous production on this. My favorite track is There Is a Light, which has the definitive flute solo of 2021. Poppy is back with Flux, an album that takes a step back from the hard metal turn she took with I Disagree, and stays more within indie rock and grunge. As a result, this album doesn't hit you as immediately hard, but at the same time, the hooks I think are better, and the looser genre restrictions makes me think that this one's gonna age even better than I Disagree. It's also lean, like it's only 32 minutes long. Check out So Mean for a taste. Injury Reserve released their second studio album and their first following the death of member Stepa J. Groggs. Frankly, words kind of fail me on this one. This is a record that is very much consumed by that loss and shows grief in every note and production decision. I can't guarantee that you'll like it, but you will not listen to another album this year that sounds like it, and for that alone, I think it's worth checking out. Give Superman that a listen, and then see from there if you want to check out the full thing. Indie noise rock duo Low just recently gave us Hey What, the follow-up to 2018's Double Negative, and it's a perfect compliment because they're both records that I feel like I should love dearly and end up only mildly liking. But hey, I love BJ Burton's blown-out production style, especially on the song More. Famed metal band Metallica gave us a covers album of other artists covering songs off their Black album. It's pretty hit or miss, or in the case of Weezer's Enter Sandman, a carbon copy, but it's fun to see an artist like Phoebe Bridgers give her take on Nothing Else Matters. Speaking of covers, Brittany Howard teamed up with a whole bunch of musicians like Bon Iver, Michael Kiwanuka, Laura Mvula for remixes of her 2019 album Jamie. If you've heard Jamie, then these tracks are a nice bonus, my favorite being Childish Gambino's rendition of Stay High. And if you haven't heard Jamie, that's okay, there was a period of my life where I didn't have yours too. And here's another remix album, this time for Lady Gaga's Chromatica, featuring a whole bunch of left field hyperpop artists. You know, for the longest time, I thought Billie Eilish was gonna be the one to lead hyperpop into the mainstream, but like the love interest in a 90s rom-com, the right person was there this whole time and I didn't even notice. Check out the Free Woman remix for Clear Skin. And for our last solo, Sufjan Stevens teamed up with Angelo De Augustine for the most intimate movie club night you'll ever experience. Each song is loosely based on a film, whether it's mainstream Drek like Silence of the Lambs or art house classics like Bring It On Again. This one musically reminded me of Sufjan's Seven Swans, which was a style that I was not expecting to see Sufjan return to, but I fully welcome it. And Sufjan and Angelo make for a perfect duo. For real, once these guys hit their falsettos, I could not tell them apart. Check out This Is the Thing. For the last big release, I want to talk about Satan selling blood shoes to make your kids gay. I don't know, it's Lil Nas X.
Baby bet, ayy, Cobra X, ayy.
I gotta say it now, Lil Nas X is a marketing genius. I think I attributed a lot of Old Town Road's success to pure luck and the quick rise of TikTok, and sure, that's some part of it, but the rollout for his debut album Montero had me realizing how smart this guy is in marketing his music. It isn't just single, music video, album, it's TikToks featuring song snippets, it's music videos, it's memes based on the music videos, it's birth videos.
I can see the baby. Whoa, the baby, the baby, the baby.
Let's go.
Now I realize that in all this praise of the littlest Nas, I haven't mentioned his music, and that's because, to me, his music has often been the least interesting aspect of his brand. That's not to say it's bad. I love Old Town Road as much as the next out-of-touch millennial who's just getting into TikTok, but his first EP just wasn't that remarkable to me. Montero, then, is certainly a step up in every way conceivable. The hooks are better, the production is more engaging and sometimes beautiful, the features can be stellar, can I admit that I like Jack Harlow now? But all that considered, it's still musically a basic pop album, albeit one that's enriched by the surrounding stories of self-love and coming to understand yourself. So while once again, the music itself is to me the least interesting part of the Lil Nas X canon, it's a major step up in every way and a clear sign that he's not just a one-hit wonder. Or a one-trick pony. Personally, I really dug Dead Right Now. The gospel choir they add halfway through is such a good touch. So that covers the big releases for August and September. I'll be back next month for October. If there's a record you want me to check out next time, feel free to let me know in the comments, and be sure to check out the playlist that I left in the description with all the songs that I mentioned. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.